confusion. And what you're saying is, okay, just when you're open to Christianity, you're going to the websites and they can't agree on anything. So from an atheist standpoint, you could be angry because, wait a second, you're saying there's a truth, but you can't agree on what it is.
Exactly. That was exactly the problem. And because as an atheist, I wasn't sure, Christians had said, you need to have faith in Jesus Christ. And I said, okay, I get it. I understand that if I'm going to convert to this religion, that's what I need to do. So my burning question was, who is Jesus Christ? Now, some of these websites were saying Jesus Christ is pro-choice, pro-euthanasia. He's okay with, all sorts of, all sorts of stuff that other groups would say, no, that's actually really immoral and that's dangerous. So you'd have people who would read scripture and present this picture of Jesus as like, I'm okay, you're okay. And then other people, more of an angry, wrathful Jesus. And as a person who was not a Christian, I could not get my question answered. Who is Jesus Christ? Because nobody agreed on how to interpret the Bible. And the other thing is sometimes when people would disagree with one another, they would say, well, you interpret that one scripture verse that way, but you're not looking at how it works with this Old Testament verse and something from one of Paul's epistles. But then I thought, so this requires a lot of free time to gain an encyclopedic knowledge of the Bible. And at this point, I had one small child and another on the way, and I thought, this is not a system that works, because I can't believe that I would, in order to know Jesus Christ, that I would have to have the free time to gain this encyclopedic knowledge of the Bible. I don't have time to become a scripture scholar. And so I was very troubled by all of this.
Well, I'm going to keep pushing you on that because I want to make sure we get to all the details in your journey, because you're explaining a sense in which, on the one hand, the internet can be helpful,
right,
but on the other hand, can make it more difficult.
Right. Yep. And so the blog ended up actually being a key thing for me, because I actually wrote this post that I thought would be a farewell post where I was saying, this isn't working. I don't see any agreement among Christians. And I also pointed out to them, this system that you're telling me, or my readers weren't telling me, but I had just sort of absorbed from cultural osmosis, this system requires the printing press. I said, what did people do before the printing press, when the average family, not only did they not have time to become personal scripture scholars, but they couldn't have afforded a Bible and a concordance and a biblical encyclopedia. And so I wrote a post saying, I thought I had experienced something with, when I first asked that what if question. I thought, I sensed that there was something real about this Jesus person, but this is not checking out. I don't see a divinely inspired religion here. And that's when, my readers had kind of been holding back because they didn't want to push me, and that's when someone was like, okay, we got to lay it out. What you're looking for is the Catholic Church. And so they told me this idea that, what if just how God used imperfect people, he inspired them to write perfect doctrine in the scriptures. What if he didn't stop doing that? What if he kept doing that and gave us a living church that can speak to all people in all places and all times? And I thought, oh, are they talking about the Catholic Church? And I was torn, because I thought, well, we can't become Catholic. And Joe was just, he grew up, fairly anti-Catholic, and he said, oh, we can't become Catholic. And I said, I know, we can't, obviously, but this is really the only system that works. And so that was, we didn't know what we were going to do at that point.
Well, did you quickly deal with doctrine, at Catholic doctrine?
Well, yeah, on the encouragement of my readers, we started just researching everything we could. And you're probably familiar with this moment, like when you crack open the treasure chest of the intellectual tradition of Catholicism, just the richness of wisdom. It was this overwhelming feeling of like, if I lived to be 500 years old, I wouldn't even scratch the surface on this. And so, we've always, both of us have always loved reading and learning. And when we discovered the Catholic intellectual tradition, we said, wow, there's really something going on here. And then when I looked at the Catholic moral code, I still had questions about things like abortion and contraception. I didn't understand it all. But one thing I did see was that the moral code was seamless, and it didn't change. And it didn't change even when there was tremendous social pressure for it to change. And interestingly, this is when this was shortly after a lot of the scandals had broken. And in a way, that pushed me further towards the church because, first of all, I realized, I did some research and realized this is just biased. I mean, this is no more of a problem in the Catholic Church than anywhere else. And as a mother, that was deeply concerning to me that they're, giving people a false sense of security of like, oh, this only happens in the Catholic Church. So it made me wonder, like, why does the world hate the Catholic Church so much? But the main thing is, the more the media highlighted the faults of some of the people in the hierarchy, the more I started thinking, well, yeah, but, people who are imperfect, they're always the first to sell out. They're always the first to tell people in power whatever they want to hear just to, get more power for themselves. And I thought, if what you media saying is even 10% true of imperfect people being all throughout this church's hierarchy, then you cannot explain the fact that it has this seamless moral code that it's had for 2,000 years, never reversed itself, won't go away. All these empires have fallen away, and yet it still stands. And Joe and I both kind of looked at each other and came to the same conclusion, like, I think this church is divinely inspired. So that was we never thought we would get to that moment.
It is neat to hear that your husband and you were both on the journey.
That's right. Yep. And interestingly, he came at it from a totally different perspective. That he, once he realized that there might be something real here, he was all about deepening his relationship with the Lord. He was very intrigued by the Eucharist, and for example, he was concerned about the doctrine of Mary.